Now to all the local news on the markets. A short time ago, I chatted with Martin Lakos from Macquarie Private Wealth. Martin Lakos, Wall Street seemed to take heart with the US Federal Reserve's latest board minutes. Should the Australian market have performed better?
Well, Tiki, by all accounts, our market did, in fact. For most of the day, we were up between 20 and 30 points, but it reeled off late in the afternoon. But I think we've got to put what happened overnight in perspective. The US markets, in particular the Dow Jones, was down about 100 points at one stage and staged a solid rally to close up 10 points. Now, the reason it rallied was the language that came out of the FOMC, the central bank's minutes from last month's meeting. And I think it's quite important to be trying to gauge. They certainly gauge that the US economy is recovering, albeit slowly. The data is mixed, and they're certainly considering how they put together the framework for calibrating and communicating what they're going to be doing in the markets. But this is the absolute crux of the notes from the FOMC, and that is that unless the pace of a recovery strengthened or underlying inflation moved to the mandated level, the committee considered it appropriate to take action soon. And that's what got the markets going very quickly. So the Aussie market held up reasonably well through the day, except through the afternoon. I guess following the 80-point fall the previous day, we saw some reasonable rebounds in the materials sector. A bit disappointing for the banks, and the utilities was certainly an underperformer, most notably AGL.
Now, a bit of company news tipping out onto the market today. Woodside Petroleum has announced that Don Volty, its great leader, will be departing mid-next year. You'd have thought that would have had an effect on the stock.
Yeah, look, typically companies where they can, they're managing expectations and managing these succession processes very well. Volty's been CEO since 2004. He's exiting middle of next year, so there's virtually a 9-month window for them to look internally and externally for his successor. And in the meantime, he stated that he wanted to see the start of the Pluto development and also give plenty of time for any transition for the new CEO. In particular, with the Sunrise and Browse developments coming on stream, that new CEO's got a lot to catch up on.
So did it have an effect on the stock?
The stock price actually was marginally down 32 to 43.72, but not what you consider dramatic in light of the announcement.
And how did investors take Transurban's latest traffic and review data?
Yeah, the September quarter traffic numbers came out. Probably a good set of numbers, although a little disappointing on the New South Wales roads. But Melbourne City Links showed an increase of some 10% in traffic flows. The M7 and M1 again saw some gains, but M2, M5 are still having problems. They're doing a lane widening, and that's probably going to be a trigger for some positive share price support once that takes place. Transurban was up 11 to 5.19 on that news.
And Colona Allied put out some production sales numbers.
Yeah, again, look, slightly disappointing numbers from that production perspective, given they've had some pretty wet weather. But there's absolutely no doubt that coal is the flavour of the month, if not flavour of the year. And Colona Allied is certainly seen as one of the premier coal producers. They did give us some indication that their total production being affected from the third quarter is going to be down to about 25 million tonnes. The market's again is taking that in its stride. Stock was up 13 cents to $111.77.
Martin Lakos, thank you very much for joining Late Line Business.
Thanks, Tiki.